I'll tell you this, more deficit has accumulated under Donald Trump than the other president in American history, but I'm glad that you're on the fiscal responsibility bandwagon. You're reading these polls, and I'm reading the polls saying the Democrats are 13 points up in the congressional generic, that Donald Trump has the lowest approval rating of any president at this point in his presidency in American history. So your viewers are getting one view, and I'm reading another view. So one of us is right and one of us is wrong. I think the Republican Party is against the minimum wage. I think the Republican Party stands for more tax cuts for people making over $400,000 a year. I think the Republican Party wants to get rid of a woman's right to choose. I think the Republican Party wants to destroy Medicaid. I think the Republican Party would like to get rid of Medicare if they possibly can. I think the Republican Party supports Vladimir Putin. I think the Republican Party is weak when it comes to communist China.
James Carville visited Sean Hannity's show to dismantle some of the elementary lies and beliefs that the show peddles for Donald Trump on a daily basis.
I see a lot of Democrats, do support men their rights to play women's sports. And you're not addressing those key issues that are...
It's the key issue that what the High School Athletic Association decides who's eligible to play what sport is the key issue. We're going to continue to help people with health care, with Medicaid and Medicare, or the key issue is that we're going to retire people, secure people's retirement security. The key issue is in this century, under Democratic presidents, 50 million jobs have been created and 1 million jobs under Republicans. I think most Democrats that I know want to create jobs, create opportunity for people, and create opportunity for young people. I don't know of anybody that's sitting there worrying about who plays in the high school track meet. I see you got USAID up there. They spend $41 billion. They spend $41 billion. The federal budget is $6 trillion. I did the math, Sean. It actually comes to something like 0.014%. So take the $41 billion, put it against the $6 trillion, and see what you've done when your president is responsible for more federal debt than any president in the history of the United States.
There's a constant conservative yo-yo between acting like they care about policy and the agenda that Trump is pursuing and then flippant excuses for important things that keep going sideways. If Democrats would focus on the laundry list of failures and lies that make up Donald Trump's life and presidency without being worried about how to win the next election, it'll be more genuine. But the people are finally beginning to get tired of the lies anyway.
Tyranny is rising in the White House, and a man has declared himself our king. So I would like to know, rather, the people would like to know what you, congressmen, and your fellow congressmen are going to do to rein in the megalomaniac in the White House.
I'm not going to give you my best foghorn leghorn response to that. But what I was, you can go ahead and sit down. Thank you. When you talk about tyranny, when you talk about presidential power, I remember having the same discussion with Republicans when Biden was elected. The funny thing is, you're sitting here and a lot of you would probably say those January 6s who are yelling just as loud as you, who are upset just like you.
Rich McCormick can stand there and be smug while his voters go off on him because he's more comfortable catching hell from them than he is from catching hell from the president that elected Republicans are afraid of for some reason. He thought that comparing angry constituents to MAGA supporters that were wrong about Biden being a dictator was a good point. The problem this movement is facing is that they've convinced all the people that they can, and the rest of the country refuses to accept their skewed version of reality.
I'm calling from West Virginia, and which was a red state for Donald Trump, and they have a place called down here Public Debt, and a lot of my neighbors were voting for Trump. They walking around scared, crying, nervous, and they were forever Trumpers. But on a personal note, I'm a diabetic and I'm on Medicare. And when Joe Biden was in there, my insulin was $6 for a 28-day supply. I just went to CVS to get my new supply. It went back up to $80. They said because the American Recovery Act was canceled, so it went from $6 to $80.
There's only so much that informally renaming the Gulf of Mexico will do before people recognize the lack of well-paying jobs and respect on the world stage you keep talking about. These empty distractions that do nothing for people's lives will eventually show back up at his doorstep.
People are mad. They are angry. They are rising up. Take a look here. Top worst things that Trump has done. This is among the folks who oppose Trump actions in office so far. You might have thought going into the election or afterwards it'd be immigration policy, but that comes in at just 10%. Check out on this side of the screen, though. I'm coming over to Mr. Berman's side. Musk, DOGE, or the funding freezes, right? These funding cuts. Look at that. That takes the cake. 24%. That is the top answer amongst those who oppose Donald Trump's actions in office, saying it is the worst thing that he has done so far. It's Musk, it's DOGE, it's those funding cuts. The people are mad, and if last night is an example, that town hall, they ain't going to take it anymore. Democrats are more angry about this than Republicans are happy about it. Look at this. Democrats, 18% say that the Musk, DOGE, access to data is the most significant action so far for Trump this term. Bring it over to this side of the screen. Look at this. Just 9% of Republicans say that Musk, DOGE, and the access to data is the most significant Trump action so far. So Elon Musk is becoming this rallying point for anger, this rallying point for anger on the left, and he's not really doing much for the right, who are going, yeah, we like what's going on, but it's not close to the most significant thing he's doing so far. This gives you an idea of how angry the folks are at Elon Musk. Look at this. Elon Musk's net favorable rating. We've been tracking this. This is Quinnipiac University. Back in December of 2024, he was underwater, but just underwater by 5 points. Look at where he is now in February 2025. The American people are turning against Elon Musk.
Yeah, we know. The response from MAGA leadership is the standard played out line about fake news and to not believe the polls because everyone has Trump derangement syndrome. But those excuses won't lower the cost of living or create the golden age that he sold to his voters.
Trump's approval rating is down 5 to 7 points across 4 of these big polls. He's underwater on managing the economy, which is obviously what handed him the presidency, 8 points underwater. And then in terms of how the public is feeling, not only reflected in those numbers, did you see those town halls that were going on last night? So Rich McCormick in Georgia, safe seat, people booing him, catcalling. They're concerned with everything from spending cuts to what's going on with DOGE to that Donald Trump is becoming a tyrant. Cliff Bentz in Oregon, similar reaction. This guy, Tony Balderson, he's in a Trump plus 18 district in Ohio, saying Trump's executive orders are getting out of control. They are hearing from the American public that what is going on from the Oval Office to CPAC, which is, Pam Bondi being at CPAC seems like a politicization of the office, to say the least, is not what the American public wanted.
If more Democrats would speak directly about what they stand for, while this guy keeps showing how much he hates the entire country, more people may realize that what he's doing has nothing to do with his promises. It'll highlight the fake populism even more.
But what I've said very publicly is that Democrats need to play possum. This whole thing is collapsing. It doesn't need Elizabeth Warren and somebody screaming to pacify some progressive advocacy groups in Washington, which, by the way, I wish these people were just useless. They're actually worse than useless, that they're detrimental. And they never, ever learn to shut up. And so, Dan, this is what I believe. I believe that this administration, in less than 30 days, in the midst of a massive collapse, he's gone from 53 approval to under 30 to 39. That's a collapse. And all we need to do, the analogy I use, is picket is 500 yards from the stone wall. Hold your fire. It's going to be easy pickings here in 6 weeks. Just lay back.
So you literally think 30 days to 6 weeks, the Trump administration is effectively going to collapse in terms of public support?
Well, it's collapsing right now. We're in the midst of a collapse. This is the lowest approval, not even close, that any president has ever had at a comparable time. Again, that's a provable fact.
James Carville might be right about the incompetency of MAGA forcing it to cave in on itself, but it's not a very good idea for Democrats to sit around looking like useless idiots while people suffer and chaos ensues. They can simply tell the truth, without being too afraid of the distractions and boogeymen Republicans respond with. It's just a bunch of grown toddlers throwing tantrums to avoid accountability, because the more reality Trump is faced with, the more of his ass he'll show.
Some members of Congress in red districts are facing pushback from voters in town halls. We know that Americans voted for you on the immigration and the economy, but these voters say they're angry and frustrated by these firings. They don't like the work of Elon Musk and these other actions. What do you say to them?
Who do you work for?
I work for ABC News, sir.
Who?
ABC News.
No wonder. let me just tell you that I have today the highest poll numbers I've ever had. I have today the highest poll numbers of any Republican president ever. We haven't even checked the Democrats, but that's what I was just told. And they like the job that we're doing. They like the job that Elon's doing.